Landing the ending of a show is something that's always one of the most difficult things to do. It can turn what's been a much loved show that will be remembered into a show that will be forgotten, all because of one singular episode. So the power of it is so important. I saw a quote from The Boys showrunner Eric Kripke recently where he said, "You can count in one, maybe two hands the truly great series finales. You could have the greatest show for years, but if you stiff that ending, they go, oh, maybe that show wasn't that good." So the importance of an ending can't be underplayed. Squid Game has been a near-on perfect show throughout its 2-season run, and with the final season being only a couple of weeks away, I thought I'd share how I feel the individual stories for the characters could end, the games that could feature, the possibility of In-Ho being forced back into the games, and answer if the island will be left afloat. So let's get into it. Here is how Squid Game Season 3 should end. Just to let you know, this video will contain spoilers. Kang No-Eul switches sides. One thing that I think should definitely happen in the final season is Kang No-Eul, soldier number 11, should switch sides and turn on her employer, the masked officer. Within the trailer, it seems like that's gonna happen, but I think with her moral beliefs and values being the very thing that sets her apart from the other soldiers on the island, that will be why she ultimately ends up fighting back, showing a break in that chain of soldiers for the first time. No-Eul is somebody that's found herself in this situation following defecting from North Korea, and also the desire that she has to find her child with the promise of the help from the masked officer, which is what was originally giving her that motivation to continue. But I feel she's going to start to see through his lies, and that's where the conflict is going to arise, which will lead her to most likely fight back against him and maybe look to kill him. We don't know much of the masked officer, but I imagine we're going to learn more about him and his dark history through the conversations and interactions that these two characters specifically have. I don't think Kang No-Eul will be left with any other choice other than to kill the masked officer, because I don't think she'll stop interfering with the games, and he's not going to like it. Gi-Hun and No-Eul are relatively similar in the sense that they're both fighting for something that they believe in, and they both originally had their children at the front of their minds when it came to their actions. I'd also say that the fact that they both passed each other in the same private investigators unit, it makes me think that she's gonna have a hand in helping or having a somewhat mirrored arc to Gi-Hun, one that might not necessarily be the happiest of endings. I honestly don't see Squid Game having a happy ending. It's not a show that's given that inclination in the slightest, and if it did, I don't think it would be being true to itself. So I reckon Kang No-Eul will get the small victory in killing the masked officer, somebody who's been waving a carrot, which is the prospect of finding out the location of her daughter in front of her eyes for years. But I don't think she's gonna make it off the island. I think she'll get close, but she won't get the reunion with her daughter that she wants, and she'll realize that she's become a monster in the process of chasing after the very thing that she desired most, killing people because she was simply told to, as if it was all part of the game. We know that she doesn't agree with it because we saw the caring nature that she had when Na-yeon was taken into the hospital. For her traitorous behaviour, I imagine she could end up being killed as she's either trying to escape or whilst in the crossfire when the other guards are most likely sent after her following the news of the masked officer being killed. I like the character, and I like her moral complex because it's different in the show, but I don't think she should just be able to make it out of there alive because she decided to change her beliefs. The dark ending. When it comes to the actual ending of the show, I think it's going to be going in a dark direction. I don't think there should be any element of light within it whatsoever. Gi-Hun has gone back into the games to save everybody this time round, and I believe he'll be one of the last people standing, which will quite literally show that he's not been able to do his job. And once again, just like before, he'd have watched hundreds of people die in the process, which will show him how not only has he been helpless in his approach, but it's the behaviour of others that has landed him in this position. The actions from both sides of the coin. It's the behaviour of the rich and the elite for setting up the games and preying on the people that are struggling, and also the behaviour of the people that are struggling, as they had plenty of opportunities to end the games, which would have ended the slaughterings, but none of them chose to do so. Instead, risking the lives of themselves and others for the slim chance of the fortune. So I think that could be one of the final things that will cause Gi-Hun's mind to break, and for him to realise that there might not actually be any way of stopping the games because the issue runs a lot deeper than just the people that are on the island. It's a widespread societal issue of keeping the people at the bottom, and enabling the people at the top to just stay at the top. Add on to that he'll find out that In-ho, somebody who he thought he could trust, is actually the mastermind behind it all. That's something that'll definitely make him question everything even more, and he could end up entering that headspace that he was in during the end of Season 1, where he didn't know what to do. This is where I think there'll be 3 different approaches for Gi-Hun. With there being a few players left surviving, following the jump rope, red light, green light game, and also the maze game where the reds have to fight off the blues, which could wipe out 50% of the players. I think this version of Squid Game could be played in groups. The game is naturally split into 2 teams, and it can be played that way, so I reckon we could see that taking place this time round, so there's a bit of a difference to the first season. If that's the case, I think the players that will be left will be Gi-Hun, player 149, player 222, player 125, player 124 to add in that character that's opposed to the others and is willing to kill, and also player 246. The 3 different directions that I think the ending of the show could go in is 1. Gi-Hun ends up becoming the frontman, which would show that he'd lost hope in humanity and realised that the people that he was trying to save aren't actually worth saving because they're not looking for help. And that would almost be a commentary on society and saying that one person alone isn't enough to make a difference in society. Or if the game isn't played in groups and it's only played by Gi-Hun and there's nobody else left standing, I wonder if the VIPs could send In-ho back into the games. We don't truly know their rank compared to the frontman, but it does seem like they are, as their name suggests, very important people. So I wonder if they might make the final Squid Game a champion of champions type thing, which could see Gi-Hun, who's won it before, facing off against In-ho. That is a wild guess, but I do kind of like that approach, and it would make that final battle even more personal between them because both of their lives would literally be on the line. However, a slightly different direction that I think could end up being taken is that Gi-Hun might go looking for In-ho and end up being killed by the frontman as he also kills him. And that way Gi-Hun will die believing that he's made a difference and thinking that he's ended the games, but what we'll actually see is that this is just one small drop in an ocean and that these islands are present all over. Even if this one gets stopped, I think it'll show that there are more that are out there and that there are games that are happening where more people are dying for the entertainment of the rich. I also think that another frontman could quite literally just ascend the position once the chaos had turned over. So I'm picturing a bleak ending. Honestly, I really don't want a happy one because I don't think it will suit the show in the slightest. The abruptness of the way that Season 2 ended, with Jung-bae being killed right in front of Gi-Hun, is the tone that I want. Will Jun-Ho make it to the island? Jun-Ho's story of him venturing to the island is something that's been kept under wraps throughout all of the trailers, and I really don't know why that is, but it's got me really intrigued. We've barely seen anything of him, but it makes me wonder if it's because there's a Big Brothers reunion on the horizon. Well, I think we will see him make it onto the island, into where the games take place, and that's where In-ho will be shocked at seeing that Jun-Ho survived the shot that he gave him in Season 1. This is where I think we'll actually get to hear more about In-ho's past, the wife that he lost, and the care that his mother still has for him. And with that, this surprise could be something that makes In-ho weak in a moment where he needs strength as the games are about to come to a close and is going to most likely be facing his own personal battle with Gi-Hun. I think there'll definitely be a level of conflict that ends up erupting between the both of the brothers, but Jun-Ho will manage to get away. I think he'll make it off the island, and even though the show will have a dark ending of us knowing that there could be games taking place all around the world, and even the very games that we've seen could still be taking place, the very end could be him handing evidence over to the police of this place that exists, and it being left down to us to decide if they're going to believe him and take him seriously, or if they're just going to choose to not believe him, and again, tie into that wider societal issue of the lack of help being present there for the people that need it. Whilst the actual ending of Squid Game will be far more detailed than what this is, I just wanted to share the headline points of what I'd like to see in the show and the tone that I feel it should adopt when it draws to an end. It's never shied away from going to territories that a lot of shows are afraid of going to nowadays. So I'm hoping the ending of the show lives up to all of the episodes that came before it because it definitely deserves to be remembered as one of the greats. So, there you have it, how Squid Game Season 3 should end. If you want to see a full breakdown of Squid Game Season 2, then check the video below. I've also broken down the most recent trailer, so feel free to check that out too. How do you think the show should end? Share your thoughts in the comments. As always, thanks for tuning into the video and I'll see you in the next one.